let me start with a short overview of traditional versus rolling forecast differences. And let me remind about a poll that was done in 2015-16 by KPMG and ACCA. So at that point in time, 62% of participants said that they're using a static forecast, which is a point in time, a snapshot preparation of annual length duration, and that was not including the updated assumptions. Okay. And to relate to one of my very first budget experience, some of the companies spent a lot of time on preparing the annual budget. They spent 2 to 3 months on aligning the targets, bottom to top, top to bottom, different assumptions, communication, and then finally the budget is published. However, it is put away somewhere in the virtual folder, and then 3 months down the line, the budget analyst or the finance planning manager is called on to explain what is happening with the business, while the actuals are so much different versus the forecast, and there are thousands of numbers and assumptions behind to explain and to track, and that can become really frustrating, right? So a traditional or static or annual budget, as we say, is basically historically database, and it is using fixed targets and measures, right? And we all have faced a situation, especially in the last 2 to 3 years, where the change in economic conditions really kick off the ground all your basic work and assumptions, right? There are supply shocks, there is a rapid increase in demand, there could be change in tariffs, we have Brexit, and then all your budget is basically upside down. So the static budgets are less and less relevant, and a lot of companies are moving to rolling dynamic budgets that are live, updated on a specific set of drivers, and also extremely important, tailor-made to make success in your company. Because we are all different companies, we are running different businesses. There could be short cycle to long cycle. There could be startups at the beginning with a very high growth perspectives, or stable businesses. So the rolling or dynamic forecast is actually the key and most successful best practice, which is, if used properly, can really ensure the great success in your company. And if you're ready to roll out the rolling forecast, sorry for the pen, what are the key drivers that will enable you to do so? So number one, next slide. Yeah, we are talking about key drivers. And again, depending on the company, on the industry, these key drivers could be very, very different. If we are talking about beauty products or luxury product sale, right, the GDP could be one of the key factors. If we are talking about selling diapers or car seats for children, right, then the fertility rate, birth rates is one of the key factors. If we are talking about industrial production, project business or product running business, we are talking about aluminum, steel, other different commodities. Or if I work on the budget in the food company, food industry, then it could be palm oil, citric acid, and so on and so forth, the other commodities. What is absolutely crucial is to make sure that you're not taking into account too many drivers. They're really key. On the other hand, there is no optimal recommendation. It could be 5 to 10 or 20 to 25. It really, really, really depends on which business you're running. And it's better to select those that are helping you to shape the business decisions and that help you to guide your management, your executive board on what are the key decision makers, right? The forecasting period is the second most important component. And it really depends on the industry and on the pace of change in your organization. So the common recommendation, common advice is that the more dynamic your industry is, and the more changes you experience in commodities pricing, for example, the more frequently your forecast should be updated, and the shorter is the forecasting period, right? So in a fast-paced environment, it's very difficult to imagine that you would have 18 months rolling forecast updated monthly with a high degree of accuracy. And then we are talking about scenario planning, because with such a long horizon, you definitely need to present to your management best case, worst case, the most probable scenario. And yeah, we'll have a separate session, as Hans said, about scenario planning that Wojtek will present for you. But again, the more dynamic is your business, the more frequent is the update of your dynamic drivers, and the shorter the horizon is. One very interesting example from my history that I can tell you, both static and rolling forecast can actually coexist together. So you can have a quarterly target, which is an absolute end in mind to keep as a guidance. And then, due to the very dynamic nature of supply situation, of materials prices, or of other resources constraints, you want to have an absolutely great update for your management, and you can have quarterly forecast updated bi-weekly or even weekly if the situation requires so, and be presented to your management. Whenever we are talking about the forecasting period and frequency of update and scenarios planning for the rolling forecast, it's absolutely important to keep in mind the scenarios, right? And how you shape your scenarios. You shape them based on the risks and opportunities, because there are risks and opportunities that can be depending on driving your revenue or reducing your costs, or there are external supply shocks that could cause interruption to your production, and so on and so forth, right? So we'll have more later today to talk about it, but that's an essential part of how you can shape your rolling forecast base. Another important factor is multiple sources of data. I already mentioned to you that there could be external sources of data in terms of the GDP, commodities, market pricing. There could be internal sources of data, including the headcount, the production limitation or production growth plan. And it is extremely important to intertwine everything together and make sure that these multiple sources of data ideally are automated and are integrated in the model. And we'll be having another specific deep dive on potential technical solutions and modeling later on during the meeting. Last but not the least, introducing the rolling forecast takes time and effort. And if you're thinking about introducing it, then ideally you should ponder if it's possible to make it for one department or one function or one country or one region to test your waters, and then keep going and roll it out for the whole organization. So what are the building blocks of a rolling forecast? And there are 4 major blocks. Let's run through them really quickly. As mentioned, system automation modeling. You want your forecast to be updated in ideally 1 to 3 days, or sometimes even minutes, depending on the business and the stage of the business. The quality of the data is absolutely essential. Garbage in, garbage out. We all know this reference. So, as I mentioned, various sources of data, semi-automated or automated feed of your data and assumptions, and all of that should combine together in the proper culture in your company. As Hans mentioned at the beginning of our webinar, collaboration, alignment are vital, absolutely vital to make rolling forecast a success. And who are the enablers, the implementers of this process? These are, of course, the finance professionals, finance talents, who have to have a relevant expertise. So ideally, you can search in the market and buy someone, because the person with the right skills, or a team of people with the right skills, are the ones that will drive the value-added analytics that will enable the proper executive level decision making. They will build your scenarios. They will give you amazing key metrics to make proper business decisions in our fast-pacing world.